let's make words. Here at Nick Does Maths. So of course we're going to make words. We're making maths words again. They don't have to make sense. They're just a string of letters and we call them a word because we don't care about the meaning of language. Here are my 3 rules, well, 2 rules to start with. So nothing is a word. Now, if you start with a word, you get a new word by sandwiching between A and B. And if your word is something ending in B, so something then B, then just that something is a word. So basically what this is saying is if your word ends in B, you can cut off a B and you get a word. All right? So can we make A, B, B? Well, we start with nothing. There's only one thing I can do with nothing. It doesn't end in B, so I'm going to sandwich it between A, nothing, B. Now, according to my rules, I've got 2 things I can do here. I can sandwich it between A and B, or I can remove the B. Now, my A, B, B, I can do 2 things. I can sandwich it between A and B, or I can remove the B. And the A, unfortunately, just becomes A, B. So these 2 are actually the same word. So you can get a word by 2 different ways, right? I can go A, B, remove the B, and get A, B. So both of these are the same. Well, in fact, I can get A, B, B in 2 ways. I could just remove the last B from that one, or I can sandwich that one with an A and a B. Right? Alternatively, I could just go remove the B, and alternatively, I could whack another A and a B. Okay, so this is how we're going to start building our words. So that is 2 ways I could get to A, B, B. I could go nothing, A, B, 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 and so on and so forth. But the reason that is there is because, right, well, what words are possible? Well, clearly, it's just going to be a certain number of A's and a certain number of B's. Okay, so that's just a string of A's and that's a string of JB's. But what we do notice is I'm always adding A's and B's at the same time if I'm adding them, but then I can start taking away B's one by one. So I've got a string of A's followed by a string of B's, but I can remove the B's. Now, so the important thing here is I will always be greater than or equal to J, because we're adding them at the same time. So at most, I've got the same number of I's and J's, but then I can remove B's. And of course, they both have to be greater than or equal to 0. You can't have negative numbers of A's or B's. So that's kind of cool. Right, we're going to add in a rule. So I can do a swip swap. I can reverse the letter and then swap the A's and the B's over. So what does that mean? So what kind of words can I make? Well, I could swap these 2 around with the new rule to get B to the J, A to the I bigger than J, bigger than 0, and then swap the A's and the B's to get A to the J, B to the I, where I is now bigger than J. So what does that mean? What has that opened up for me? Well, previously I could make any sequence of A's and B's where I had more I's than B's. Well, now I can make any sequence of A and B's with B's more than I's. So really what we end up with is this, is I end up with a word that is a sequence of I and a sequence of J's, and just any combination of I and J, right? If I want more B's than I, all I do is I make the word with more A's than B's, and then you'll use rule number 3. Okay, because that basically rule number 3 is swapping the powers of A and B. Importantly, though, with A and B, it's still, with rule 3, it's still a sequence of A's followed by a sequence of B's. All right, so by the time we get to here, we can make any string of A's followed by any string of B's. Kind of nice. So anything becomes possible. We're going to need a bit of room here, aren't we? All right, so let's recap that. By part 3, my words look like AI, BJ, with I and J positive. Now what can I do? Now I can reverse the word. Ooh. Now that's going to create all kinds of stuff. So let's say I had the word AB. I could get the word BA, and then I could sandwich that between an AB. So I can now start getting AB, AB. So, what kind of words can we make? So show that any word made up of A's and B's is possible. Any word made up of A's and B's is possible. Now what I might, because this is a sort of sequential building of words, I might try and do, I'm going to attempt by induction. So let's go so let's go, any word of length 1 is possible, because I can make the word A, and then if I do rule 3, I can get B by rule 3. All right, I can get A. From A, I can use rule 3, right? So we've shown that we can generate A and B. Now let's assume we can make n equals k is true. All right, so we can make any sequence of A and B length k. Y. We can produce any word y, and I'm going to call y dashed is you've swapped the A and the B, right? So y is length k, y dashed is it's swapped A and B. So can I produce any word I want? Well, all I need to do is show that I can produce AY and I can produce BY. All right? So, first of all, I start with y. I can use rule 1. To get AY, and then I can use rule 2, AYB to get AY, right? Okay. Now, in the same way, I can get, doing that, I can get AY dashed. So if I use rule 3 on AY dashed, is reverse it, I'll get YB. And then if I use rule 4, I'll get BY. Now, Y has been itself has been reversed twice, so it gets reversed once and reversed twice. So the point is I can make any arbitrary word Y, and using that any arbitrary word Y, I can make a new word that starts with an A and then Y and B and then Y. So the point is, between those two, you've got every single word of length K plus 1 covered. Whew. Words in maths, who knew? There's another cool one about Oxwords, go check it out somewhere here on the last few videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment if you feel that words should be more prevalent in maths. Do you like AB words? Do you like Oxwords? Let me know. Otherwise, in the meantime, I'm going to be here again in a couple of days. Tune in then to do a bit more cool maths with me, a lot more cool maths with me. I'm Nick. See you then.